r/ask Reddit. What conspiracy theory do you believe is true? Crime in big tourist cities like Las Vegas is systematically underreported in order not to hurt business. Worked for the police in a major tourist city near a mouse. Can confirm. I was there last week and a dude was shot in the fashion show mall. It scared the shit out of me and I got out of there real quick. A few days later my friends dragged me there to the Lego store and it was like nothing happened. Toothpaste advertisements show way too much toothpaste on the toothbrush so that you'll use more toothpaste than you need, therefore causing you to buy toothpaste more often. Say toothpaste again. Toothpaste? Say it again, mother ducker. I dare you. Toothpaste. The theory that there are only 46 questions ever posted on this sub and a bot just randomly repeats them. That bot is horny 95% of the time. Every so often, big sock companies make subtle changes to their design, so that when you buy new socks, they'll never match your old ones. Also, I can't find generic white-black socks for my kids. They all look different from each other. Big packs comes with 5 different patterns for each pair. It's completely ridiculous, so they often get to rock the socks at school. I've long learned to not gaff about matching socks. I buy all sorts of different designs and if one side gets loose, I'll just wear it with another one that has the other missing loose too. Now they make a pair. The only thing I match is the length. The Queen is only still alive out of spite to outlive her son. She has said, "Charles will have the crown over my dead body," paused for a moment, then continued, "because that is exactly how hereditary monarchies work." I read this from time to time. Why do people think the Queen hates Prince Charles? All I really know about him is he is an environmental advocate. Flat Earth websites were started as a practice arena for online manipulation. If they were able to convince people of such an absurdity, then people could be convinced of anything, and, once convinced, they will propagate the lie for you. Project Mockingbird. CIA was tasked with spreading misinformation to manipulate what people would believe to be the truth. But this was the 1950s. Nothing has really changed. Sort of. Around 2004 to 2005 there was a popular Flat Earth forum which I thought was absolutely absurd at the time. Read more about it and found out it was a joke and the members were just basically trolling, trying their damnedest to convince that the earth is indeed flat. I think the forums was called Flat Earth Society. I always assumed early flat earthers were just math nerds trying to find ways that we could observe the same thing we do now but with a flat earth. For example, if the earth is flat and the sun is above us, then why isn't it the same time everywhere, or how can we see a sunset, or why do we see a ship's mast first over the horizon? Eventually stupid people found the information, and since the math nerds were good at math, it all fit together well enough for them to believe it was real. Michael Jordan's first retirement was an unofficial suspension for betting on basketball. A common theory is that he was being threatened by the mob for his gambling debts as well. The Chinese government is severely downplaying the amount of confirmed cases of coronavirus infections, as well as the spread and intensity. Why? They've done it before. I think this is likely. It's probably a simple matter of saving face so they don't look bad. The city where the virus started is currently in complete lockdown. No one in or out. Do you know how many people live in that city? 11 million people. NYC has about 9 million for comparison. Biggest quarantine in history. You think only 25 people have died in that city? Like, the idea of the Illuminati has been memed to death, but I bet some very influential people do have a group chat or something. This one I think is just truth. I mean, since there was civilization, there have been pacts between leaders to stop the spreading of revolution to retain their power, and it's still happening today, but made simpler by the internet. The Epstein pedophile island was a theory for years and then that came out to be true, so now it's just kind of like, maybe all are true, maybe most. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you googled Disney Frozen you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. What if you googled cryogenic Disney with quotes? That's where the upcoming Pixar feature Cryogenic comes into play. Britney Spears is being held captive by her dad's legal hold on her mental stability. Not so sure this is a conspiracy theory. He's conservator of her estate and has full oversight of her career. He has full financial control of her life. New Coke was purposely shitty in order to drive up demand for classic Coke. Yeah, they did the same with Slurm. It's ducked up. High art galleries are just a way for organized crime to launder money through high-priced art pieces and charitable donations. That's the reason you see pieces like two solid colored canvases side by side make $43 million. Harry and Meghan stepping back from royal duties is probably something they wanted to do, but the timing of it was to make everyone concentrate on that, and not the fact that Prince Andrew was best mates with Jeffrey Epstein and has been accused of shagging an underage girl. This, regardless of what they wanted, it's very convenient for the old sweat-free Pizza Express pedophile that it's happened now. Princess Diana's accident wasn't an accident. Are you suggesting she married Charles deliberately? That Marilyn Monroe was murdered. She gave Lee Harvey Oswald $1 million and said if I die under mysterious circumstances, shoot JFK. Yep, her ties to the Kennedys, Roberts and JFK, and organized crime. Totally plausible. The media knew of Kennedy's affairs but sat on that intel. Imagine the shitstorm if she had come out with it. The US Army have a bigger influence on Hollywood action movies than you think in order for people to be influenced at a younger age to join the army. You can ask the US Army to help you for a movie, and they'll give you stuffed vehicles, guns, clothing, in exchange for the right to look at the movie and the right to deny its publication. This is the cause for how insanely good the army is portrayed in American movies. It's a very easy way for directors to save money and for the army to avoid negative portrayal in mass media. I have my doubts that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. This came to me weeks ago and I've been waiting for a chance to say it to someone in a conversation where it's slightly related. Steve Harvey Oswald. Most world leaders and they have no idea what they are doing in the slightest. The real conspiracy. The governments are too dumb and ineffective to plan conspiracies. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer with the bad looking Sonic was simply to drum up publicity. They didn't change it to the better looking, more true to form Sonic. It was that version from the start. The two trailers, the old and the new versions, were the talk of the internet both times. Apparently they made merchandise for shitty Sonic that then went unreleased. I doubt they would have gone through all that to cover their tracks. Also, the studio that redesigned Sonic went bankrupt. This one seems legit. The FBI assassinated MLK. Stevie Wonder isn't blind. Very superstitious. Shaq told this story not too long ago that he was waiting for an elevator somewhere and the elevator doors open up and Stevie Wonder is in the elevator. As soon as the doors open, Stevie goes, "Hey Shaq, how you doing, man?" There's also video out there of Stevie on stage, where he reaches out and catches a mic stand that was in the process of falling. That the phasing out of the audio jack on mobile phones is to force customers to keep Bluetooth enabled as often as possible to enhance Bluetooth tracking in stores malls so they can sell that data onto advertisers. Now this one I have not heard of before. Interesting. My own. Turing did not kill himself. He was too dangerous to live, as far as the UK was concerned. He was an uncontrolled risk. They killed him as soon as they thought they could convince people it was suicide. Don't forget this is the same country that found a dead spy zipped into a sports bag a few years back and declared it suicide. Hasn't Turing's suicide been questioned lately? As for the lad who levitated himself into a duffel bag, there's some suspicion that he was whacked by the GRU. Military-industrial complex. While not a distinct elite cabal operating in coordination, there are many separate high-net-worth individuals and particular corporations whom directly derive profit from war. They have no interest in peace and continue to prosper in an environment of low to moderate level continuous warfare. Eisenhower called it 70 years ago. The majority of celebrity Scientologists joined for networking purposes but then found themselves in over their head. Spelled tax evasion wrong. Flight 93 was shot down by US fighter craft. An eyewitness called into Howard Stern shortly after it went down in the field, and clearly stated US military were already there at the time of the airborne explosion. The caller went on to say that the jets fired upon the plane. Now normally I would dismiss this, but the kicker is that the call was edited out of the release of the 9/11 broadcast later released by the show. I've discussed this a few times on Reddit before. and others claim to have heard the same thing I did that day. The official story is that we were still minutes away by air. I assumed this was always true. The worst part is that it was probably the right thing to do. I believe Kurt Cobain was murdered. The note he supposedly left had 3 different styles of writing. When Kurt's autopsy was performed, he had enough drugs in his system to kill him 3 times over, and he was drunk enough that he couldn't lift his own head. So how could he shoot himself in the head with a shotgun? Don't underestimate how much drugs severely addicted people can use. Tolerance is a crazy thing. Fruit of the Loom had a cornucopia on their logo. They no longer have a cornucopia on their logo. Big Underwear wants you to believe IT was never there. Wake up. Do some research. The truth is out there. They did. I know people will say Mandela shit, but for God's sake, I remember that ducking cornucopia being on there when I was a kid. Vince McMahon is Donald Trump Jr.'s biological father. Stephanie McMahon is an anagram for the Macho Man penis. Hitler escaped. Nowhere crazy like the moon or Antarctica. Probably to Argentina or someplace neutral and far from Europe. I think the Russians took Hitler captive and hid him somewhere cause Stalin really hated Hitler, and the Russians got to Hitler first and could easily have taken him and told the Allies he committed suicide. We are being heard by our phones all the time. That's no conspiracy. That's a fact we all live with. Dry cleaners are money laundering fronts, especially in NY anyways. I don't know about the dry cleaners, but the foot massage places are definitely money laundering prostitution fronts. There's foot massage places everywhere where I'm from. 51. And they never seem to go out of business, but I never see anyone entering or leaving these places. JFK's assassination was an inside job. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.